see. Something is going to happen. Something wonderful.
My God, it's full of stars.
Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the NY Patriot Show. Today I have another one of my favorite returning guests. Like I always say, with somebody there from the beginning, I don't forget. Someone like I always say, I consider a real friend in the podcasting community, and nobody else can wear a tank top like this dude. Maybe next summer, God willing, I'll be able to don one as myself. But until then, Jack's the only one with the tank top. So, without further ado, I want to, say what's up, Jack.
Dude, I consider you a friend too, so thank you. It's very nice of you to say. And I totally have faith in you. You'll be able to rock the tank top soon enough, dude.
Well, the only problem is, though, for me to do that, I'm going to have to go out and buy probably about 20 razors first, too. So, I'll just look like I'm wearing a cashmere sweater or something.
Well, see, dude, this is like a double-edged, so I can't, I shave once a week. I have no chest hair. But I can't grow a beard. And I would sometimes, I like my one after, day 6 when I'm like, it looks like I could grow a beard, like I have stubble. If I let it grow, it would look disgusting. But so sometimes I'm envious of the hairier people because you can grow a beard whenever you want. Yeah. Whenever you want. True, I can't, dude. I look like an idiot. I look like I have pubes or goat on my face. So
if you were like a little dirty, you'd look like some like scrubby bum or some shit.
Yeah, dude. It's just so I like the hairless, but I would like to have a beard, and like I said, I've yet to grow a chest hair, so it's not looking good for me down the road. I want to grow a beard.
Well, you got the muscles instead, so there you go. So I'm having you on, Jack. I had seen him post something a few weeks ago. I think it was on Twitter about a book that he was reading and that he was going to start covering. And I think I was like, just let me know when you're going to come on. And so, Jack, why don't you just let everybody know about the book?
Yeah. So the book is called Secret Societies and Subversive Movements. And NY's like a perfect he should do the book because he would be able to give you guys even more more info that just goes over my head. But basically, it was this lady. She was born 1876, Nesta Helen Webster, and total G. She was, like I said, born 1876, died in 1930 or 40. So she wrote this book around the 1910s, 1920s. So already I value it even more because this is before publications would really censor. There's a lot more wide range beliefs accepted in America. But she basically goes over all the secret societies from the beginning of time to current times, and basically it's amazing. You'll hear about groups that I've never even heard of, a lot of these Islamic secret societies, like the Fatimites, the Karthamites. I don't think the Manichaeans were Muslim or Islamic, but the Assassins and all these groups, they all, even though they'll be cloaked under Christianity, Judaism, or Muslim or Islam. They're at the upper level. They all believe the same thing. They all utilize Kabbalah. They all utilize just the same text or whatever that every the big secret societies we know utilize as well. So that's what I highly recommend the book for anybody that is interested in secret societies because you will learn so much.
You know what I have noticed, or it's just my opinion, even when it comes to even Muslims and just other religions, sometimes when you do see certain occult symbolism with them or type of secret society symbolism and stuff, it also seems like with the symbols that they're using, they're kind of focusing on almost different aspects. It's hard to explain on a different story. Yeah. In the grand scale of things, you know what I'm saying?
So that was something she brought up, was that you can't say what each group believes because they'll use the same line, the same phrase, and at different levels it means different things.
Yes.
I can't think of an example, but that was what she was talking about. It was you could ask a third degree Freemason, what does illumination mean? And it'll mean something totally different. Same with verses in the Bible that they like. on and on. So that totally makes sense to me what you just said.
Yeah, I totally. Especially with Muslim stuff, I have noticed that.
Interesting. Well, I mean, if you want to, because I never heard of like the Muslim secret society. So if you want to start, I actually have those. We could start there if you want.
Yeah, for sure. The only actual stuff that I've really ever seen that I think is kind of a Muslim or going off in that area is kind of like Shriner symbolism. I don't actually know much. I mean, there's the Picatrix, which that's like kind of like Arabic talismanic magic, but yeah, I did. So this will probably be new for me. So
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, and so. All right, I'll just skip that. I also read an awesome, it's going to confuse things, but the story that generally is accepted is that in the middle of 7th century, 600s for people that don't know why they name centuries like that, there was I think Muhammad was in the 500s, 600s. So Muhammad comes out, and that's the creation of Islam. Before that, it was Zoroastrianism, which has so much. Have you ever covered Zoroastrianism or no?
No, but I have heard of it.
It's just like it's nature worship. It's like a Gnostic religion, just like like all of them pretty much before the Abrahamics. But eventually, though, Muhammad dies. That's the issue we have today. Some people want to follow Muhammad's bloodline. Some people want to follow elected caliphs or caliphates, and so that causes the division. But so without getting too into the weeds, all this division, there comes all these different groups. So you have the Sunnis and the Shiites, which we always hear about the Shias and the Shiites, Sunnis and the Shiites, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And that causes all the problems with Iran and the Middle East. But from these groups, you have other break-off points, and that's where you get into these secret Muslim Islamic societies that, again, I never ever heard of. Like the one I kind of mentioned earlier was the Ismailis, and it's ran by this guy, Abdullah Minam. And I'm just saying this because you're going to see all the same exact things happen with Christian or European secret societies. He's a free-thinking guy. He's a new age dude. He's a doctor, a free-thinking doctor in Persia. He loves Gnostic dualism. He's a materialist, claims to have mystic knowledge of doctrines. And he gets this group. He separates into 7 degrees of initiation. He only wanted the quote unquote free thinkers of the Islamic religion. And so what he does is to get his people into his group is he pretends like he is the most orthodox Islamic preacher in the world. Everybody else is a liar. Everybody else doesn't know what they're talking about. Just like, again, how any cult is started, he gets these people, he gets them to sign over their possessions. He says, that's what God would want you to do. Sign over everything to me. Then he also said God also wants you to share your wife with every brother in the group. So they also did that. And then eventually...
is that stuff like is there like some like how to start a successful cult handbook somewhere we don't know about? Dude, and is that like sharing women or something like that, or ridiculous amounts of sex with different women, like multiple wives, like part like 5 of this list that we just... Dude, it's such a common thing recently.
No, but like Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard shared their wife, John Dee and Edward Kelly. The OG, like scrying or whatever people, they share their... So I think it's because it's so blasphemous. Like you made this pact with this person that you promised to love and care for. And I think that's why all these cults encourage it, because as we keep talking about that, they all bottom line come down to do as much evil as you can, because there is no good and evil, and that's how we bring real God back to earth. But this guy, so he has 7 levels, and of course, so he gets them by acting all religious. In the 7th level, what does he tell them? Which will be the same thread that goes through every secret society. God is not real. The God that currently watches over us is an evil. Satan is the real God. And how do we get him back? We have to do enough evil stuff, just like the Sabbatean Frankists, just all these groups. It's the same, but in that group again was called the Ismailis. But it's just funny. Again, at the last level of 7th grade, he tells them, so guys, guess what? Everything I said was a lie. I'm the real God. I'm the reincarnation of Lucifer. So follow me. So it's just funny though and so that's why when that helped me understand too, I see this big revival, or maybe not a revival, but another new age kind of Gnostic beliefs that proliferate in our community. And as I read this book, it's the exact same things, nature worship and all the stuff that these secret societies exactly preach. So I just found that, I guess, interesting and kind of.
I would have to say, I could be wrong. But I mean, maybe I would say Wicca's probably like one of the newer, more recently, like big type of things. And that's nature worship in itself too, you know. So, not denying, you know, that's good, bad, or whatever, but that is something that's relatively new. That's a resurgence in that.
I agree, yeah. And not saying that you should love nature. It's God's creation, but there's like a line between your worshiping the dandelion in your backyard and saying, "Wow, this is beautiful."
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. There's a difference, for sure.
Yeah, dude. And then so another group, Karmathites, and I saw someone in your chat said the Ishmaelis was tied to assassins, if I'm not mistaken, and you are right, Jonah. But so all these groups, they're kind of, and we'll get to the Karmathites. They're the same thing as the Ishmaelis. They sign everything over, orgies, took religion. He tells you at the end, God's not real. Oh, so this group, though, where you start seeing this, he says you're actually encouraged and permitted to pillage and take anything you want. There are no obligations. There is no evil. Kill, murder, and his group started this Karmathites. They took over a huge part of they took over the holy city of Mecca. They killed 30,000 Muslims there. I mean, they were a power player in like Persia and the Middle East. And this guy who was really an offshoot of Ishmaelis, his goal was to rid the world of religion and do it through stages. But yeah, it was just, and it just goes on. We can do the I'm trying to just see what are their good, like real fun parts of their secret societies. But we'll do the assassins, because the assassin just sounds cool, you know, like the assassins, dude, that sounds awesome. But have you ever looked into the assassins at all?
No.
All right, dude.
So I said all this will probably be new for me, really.
They're fun. So big thing. So they started 1090, like right around the Crusades, and the guy he had connections. He overthrew people, and eventually he kind of breaks away from the rest of the Muslim world and to create his own little area. And so he forms a society called the Hashashin, or assassins. And so I think everybody knows that story of why they smoked hash. That's why they were called the assassins. And they didn't just smoke hash. They did a lot. But they realized if you put a lot of idiots together and you put weapons in their hand, ideas in their head, you can cause political change. So they were a group that some of these secret societies had no interest in the political world. The assassins were totally opposite. They wanted to take over everything. And so this is how he would get people. This is the best part of the assassin. So he'd invite these young men, or a young man, or possible recruits, and he had these beautiful gardens. And so they'd come to the gardens. He'd be sitting with them. They'd be smoking weed, smoking opium, getting drunk, and he would encourage the kid. Like, he would get the recruit to do so much that he'd pass out. So the kid would pass out. The leader or the recruiter would leave. They'd pick him up. They'd carry him deeper into the gardens where there was a bunch of naked women there. And so he'd wake up and there'd be all these naked, beautiful women, more drugs. And the women were told to tell him, you're in heaven, you're in paradise. And so eventually, you do whatever you do. Yeah, you do whatever you do with these women. He pass out again. That was the goal, to get him to pass out. They'd carry him back to where he met the original recruiter. He'd wake up and he'd said, Did I leave the spot? And they'd say, no, you just fell asleep. You never left. And then they'd say, well, I saw all this. And they'd say, that's your glimpse of what'll happen if you join our group. So pretty ingenious.
Oh, yo, that's mind fucking. That's like MK Ultra shit.
Isn't it, dude? Yes. Yeah.
That's like MK Ultra before technology.
Exactly, dude. Like, these poor people, they probably had no idea. Like, wow, I was just in paradise. Like, oh my God, I got to get there. I got to do whatever I have to get there.
Yo, and you know what's crazy to think about that is that, like, besides that person that they're pulling that trick over on, they've also tricked women to go fuck this dude to make him think it was real too.
So.
Holy fuck.
I know, dude. It was. I mean, that's wild, dude. It just. I love that story because it's just like so funny that was how they. That's how they recruited. It was ingenious, really. But the assassins. I mean, it wasn't all smoking opium and women. They were murdered. I mean, it was chaos there. Poisonings. They lost every single grandmaster by the end because they all killed each other because they were so vicious. The Mongol hordes. They swept the remaining. But so the big thing about these assassins, though, is that they worked with the Knights Templar. So the assassins' beliefs, again, it's this God. It's the Lucifer is the real God, or this world is fake. It's an evil God. We got to break out of it. How do we do that? Commit evil. It's literally the same. Like every story is this. And then, but so they're fighting the Templars. They're like vicious rivals in the Crusades. But the Templars, for some reason, they start talking to them or secretly meeting with them. And so there was one guy who wrote. So the leader of the assassins, he was known as the Old Man of the Mountain. And in this Templar poem, he was a Freemason who wrote in the 18th century. He talks about, he like got the information from diaries or whatever. And he mentioned in the poem, he brings up, they allied themselves with the horrible and sanguinary prince named the Old Man of the Mountain, also known as the Prince of the Assassins. So this is weird that you have these two adversaries that murdering each other. Like, for example, they hated each other, supposedly. In 1152, an assassin murdered this very powerful Templar. The Templars were stronger then, so they said, you got to sign a treaty, and you have to pay us a yearly tribute of 12,000 gold pieces for the crime. And so they did it for a few years. The assassins, this is a lot of money. They sent an emissary saying, could you forgo all payment if we convert to Christianity? Another important point, these groups, people like to point to Jewish people or Jesuits, or they will flip-flop religions. Their religion is to hide and keep their secret group. So that's so important because that gets people way off the right track. But so they said they send the emissary if they convert to Christianity, which is supposedly the goal of the Templars. One of them, they say, sure, okay, we'll do that. Well, that night the Templars murdered the emissary. So I'm saying this because they should hate each other. They should be not trustful of each other, but yet the Templars start changing and they start looking like the assassins in belief set. So I just found that fast because I love Templar stuff. And so it's just, again, tying these links to all these groups work together, believe this, they just have different cloaks of outer, whatever.
You know what I want to ask you, Jack, is I do know that, like you said just now, that you're into Knights Templar stuff. Have you ever come across, like, them worshiping Baphomet?
Yes, dude. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, as far as, things that I've seen, I heard that's, Baphomet goes back, to then. Like, it was originating then, and it wasn't quite the same, that the one that we all know, the Eliphas Levi, or Levi, however you want to pronounce his name. That one, but, like, they did portray it to an extent somehow. I mean, have you come across it as well?
Well, so I love the time. I used to and I still love the Crusades, and the Templars still sound like a badass group. But so this book changed my whole outlook on the Templars. So yes, they were absolutely. I don't know. We could call it a Baphomet. Like you said, I don't think it was the same like iteration or how it looked, but it was. They carried around a head that had all this hair on it, which it was like, I think it was like hair everywhere.
And
like
then I think they'd even prop it on a stick, kind of, really, right?
Yeah, and they had the people worship it. That was their god. But so everyone always, like, I'm sure you've heard the Templar story. That's why Friday the 13th is bad luck. October 13th, 1308 or whatever, King Philip, he goes after all of them. And so the normal story in the conspiracy world
when was that?
1308 or 3, but it was October 13th. That's why Friday the 13th is unlucky, because the Templars.
Oh, that's interesting. 1308, because if it is 1308, that'd be really
out
interesting.
Of France. I don't want to give you the wrong number. 1307.
Oh, okay. If it would have been 1308, I was like, that's interesting, because I just covered 1408 from Stephen King. But technically it was 1308 because the 13th floor was just skipped. So, yeah, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
it still was going like that in 1308. There's still prosecution going on. So not that, so it doesn't shoot your theory or your interesting thing totally out of the way. But the main story that I believed was that the Templars were these good Christians. They acquired all this wealth, but the real enemy was the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church and King Philip of France, they got jealous of the Templar wealth. They wanted it, so they made up these stories, tortured people to admit, and so they could get all their money. And that have you ever heard that story or no?
No.
Okay, so it is like like 90% if you ask like your audience or whatever, what happened, who were the Templars good or bad, what happened, if they know that, that's going to be the thing they go with. So that's, and after reading this, I totally switched my opinion because, like you said, so this group they were absolutely worshipped. They were working with the assassins. They had these same beliefs. They were Gnostics at heart. They were worshiping a Baphomet. They spit on the cross, and so people would say like, oh, well, again, all this information came from being tortured. Totally wrong. This trial of these Templars went over 3.5, 4 years. It went through, it wasn't just in France, it was all over Europe. And all over Europe, they refused to use torture. I mean, these men were like the superheroes of the day, right? Like people loved the Templars. They were Europe's gladiators. They were especially France's gladiators. These were celebrity-like people, and they were loved. And the king, eventually the king heard all these things that he couldn't turn away with anymore. I mean, these guys were his biggest tax base. They were paying King Philip 60% of his taxes. And so I'm just saying this to prove that they were not unfairly labeled. They were doing all these very gross sodomies and anything you can imagine. And also the Templars, again, because I would struggle juggling this in my head, they were the first international bankers. They were committing usury at a time when Christians were not allowed to commit usury. And this is because they weren't Christians. So, that's why they were whatever they said they were, but they weren't.
Have you ever heard that? I've seen something on TV a while. Actually, it was probably like 10 years ago. So that's kind of surprising. I saw it on TV where they were like showing old archetypes or old buildings here that had a certain keystone or something that they were known, I think, for putting in their buildings. And like basically what the show was about was trying to say that the Knights Templar was actually here before Columbus was. Going by certain structures having the same keystone that they always use. That's like it literally looks like a key or something like that. They always put like one in their stuff. And they're like, you see the same shit in the things over here that date back before Columbus.
Yeah, no, I would love to. So Eric Alexander, he brings up the good point how you gave all your property to the order. So again, we see the same pattern. Again, you give everything to the leader, then you can't, like a Bronx Tale. Now you just can't leave. You get that reference on why or no?
Yeah, no.
Have you ever seen a Bronx Tale?
Yeah, I have.
On the Bronx Tale, they tries to get the bikers out of the mafia's bar. They won't leave, and then he closes the door and says, "Now you can't leave." And then they beat the hell out of him.
Yes.
But yeah. So coming to America. So and this is a second book I just started. I'm like I love, but the Knights Templar, definitely possible they were in America before Columbus, and they were a lot of the pirates who history remembers favorably, like Edwin Drake and these people who were they were privateers. They were pirates, right? They weren't explorers. They weren't sailing the globe because they wanted to map it. But a lot of these people that we know as explorers were Freemasons, which are some of it is from Knight Templar people that is hit under that. And so it's definitely possible. There's a lot of stories that a lot of these pirates they accumulated all this wealth. People were chasing them. It was like the Wild Wild West in the Caribbean. And, well, not yet, but they're saying that after that persecution in 1307, some of them, because a whole fleet of ships, like a war army of Knight Templar ships, vanished, never to be seen again. So where did they go? And so a lot of people attribute it saying they came to America, stored their wealth or hid their wealth, sailed back. But So definitely, and also, I mean, think of so the Templars, they get kicked out. There's a war in Scotland with the Bruce. What's his name? William the Bruce, something Bruce. Somebody knows in the chat. Bruce. But Scotland's fighting England. He doesn't want it. Robert the Bruce. He doesn't
I
want
was trying to think of what movie was that guy in again?
What's that?
With Mel Gibson.
Is that one Robert the Bruce or William Wallace?
Well, no, it was the other guy. Both people were in that.
Both people were in it?
Robert the Bruce was like his buddy that kind of screwed him at the end.
Oh, that's funny, dude. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that the story is he's about to lose this war to England, and then out of nowhere, these people arrive wearing white with red crosses, and it terrifies the English. They turn right back running, and that was the Templars. And so eventually the Templars, though, there's this chapel, Rosslyn Chapel, and anyone should go look it up. It's a beautiful chapel. And the guy who built it, the St. Clair family, they were linked to, they lived next to a Templar their whole life. It was very weird. They were Templars or Freemasons or both. And in their chapel, they had 3 pillars, of course, for Freemasonry, because this is like a big chapel for Freemasonry. And on one of the pillars is corn. Well, the issue with that is this is still like early 1300s, mid 1300s. Corn had not yet existed to Europe. It was only in South America. So why in this Roslyn's chapel in 13 whatever is someone carving an ear of corn on that they wouldn't know existed unless there was prior, communication. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody sent him an email or a text message of a thing of corn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to actually, like, see that kind of with your own eyes.
But, and Eric says, Robert the Bruce is in Braveheart. I got to see Braveheart, because now it sounds, one of my ancestors was named William Wallace Allen. And so I have to check this out. But yeah, so the Templars, though, like I said, their ships disappeared. There was all this treasure that they definitely had. They were the wealthiest people of Europe. Unchecked, if King Philip didn't knock out the Templars, monopolies like Amazon would have been Europe. That's how much power this group had in money and financing. So they literally could have just enslaved Europe into their banking cabal, which eventually happens to us now. But it would have happened 700 years earlier with zero protection. Right now we have at least a little protection from the central banks. But yeah, so all these guys, though, they all had the same, because everyone will say, they got tortured for their confessions. All these confessions are very similar. It all talks about, again, these spitting on the cross, that Baphomet head that they worshipped, and just these same, again, they were Gnostics. They were totally Gnostics. They would do these big orgies and stuff like that. And during the Crusades, there's this thing called the Albicinades Crusades, and it's in France. Have you ever heard? I think I'm saying it wrong. Albigenese Crusades. Yeah, Albigensian Crusade. Have you ever heard of this?
Mm-mm.
So there were the Cathars in France, and for 20 years they were you've seen Da Vinci Code, right?
Yes.
Yes. That group, the Cathars, the Albigensian Crusade, that's their beliefs. How they said, like, they're that secret group that was Priory of Sion, all these sex magic and rituals. Like, do you remember her grandfather, Sophie's grandfather, was getting banged in a circle? You remember that scene? That's the Cathars. And so the Templars, they have direct ties with them. There are a lot of Templars become Cathars. And so that's another thing that people will say, see how evil the Catholic Church is? They killed all these people, these poor innocent people. They weren't. They were doing crazy shit. And also the Cathars, supposedly it's in France, like I said, secret, it's like a offshoot Gnostic version of Catholic Church. They accumulated possibly Templar wealth. Well, supposedly in 1940 or 1938, 40, Hitler sent this mystic guy that he was big into Gnosticism and theosophy, all that stuff. He sends him there to find, and supposedly he found the Carther treasure that was hidden for hundreds of years from the Templars for Hitler. So that's another weird connection. But I'm sorry I'm talking too much.
No, not at all. This is
right.
all interesting to me.
All right. Well, yeah. So I think that so basically though, if anyone, the Templars were not totally, I mean, there was definitely innocent guys there that wanted to just serve the Lord and protect the travelers and stuff like that. But it wasn't. It was, again, the organization itself was this Gnostic group that had the same beliefs as all these secret societies do, from the Illuminati to Freemasonry to the ones we
now,
went,
I mean, if they're anything like how they are now, then you have to look at it as that like 95% of those people probably have no idea what the fuck's really going on. If it's like how they are now, because that's how I believe that they are now. Even the people as members have no idea what the fuck's going on. You know, they think you get a regular Mason, they're thinking like, oh, I'm actually trying to become a better person. But, you know, people higher up are like transporting kids in Shriner vans or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly, dude. Exactly, dude. Oh, they used a black cat symbol, the Templars, and they also said that the head they had was the head of the Ancient of Ancients. And here, this might mean something to you. It was represented as an old man with a long beard, sometimes 3 heads as one, and a long face. And this would mean the Templars were initiating the Kabbalah doctrines because they used the same phrases. I don't know if that means anything to you, but it's a lot of their like things, their rituals or whatever. She kind of goes over some of them. I'm trying to find these specific ones, but they clearly are seeped in esoteric, occult lore or knowledge or whatever.
For sure. No, I've seen some, I watched something on them, and after I saw all that stuff, I was like, oh, these dudes were into a lot more than what, people I think thought they were.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so the point of like this occult is that this religion, which according to all these secret societies, this religion starts in the same place. It starts with God telling Adam, the real God telling Adam, the secret's wisdom. And so all of these groups, they hate Jesus. They'll say he's, just a faker. Or if they don't hate him, this was big. And I never knew this, but so they believed, a lot of these secret societies, that if you know the name of God, the correct name of God, you can do miracles. Have you ever heard that?
Something like that, like kind of to an extent. Like I know, like, well, in the Kabbalah, I think like if you could take like something and make it out of, make a human out of clay, and if you could breathe like the name of God into it, it'll come to life.
Ah, yeah, like
I think it's called a golem.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's how that's what a lot of these groups are trying to do, is they're hoping to find the name of God so they can do miracles. So I found that like fast. And one of the ways they find these secrets is through geometry and weird math. And as the astrophysics or whatever is linked to Kabbalah beyond so many ways that the populace would not understand or know. Yes. I don't, but I just know they're very similar. So again, this is all going to this goal of bringing back Satan, the real God, the light bringer, and get rid of this prison planet that we're on.
Yeah, I did want to also mention real quick, Jack. It is in parentheses, but like with even in the OTO, in the 6th degree, you will become an illustrious knight, and then in parentheses, Templar of the Order of Kadosh and the companion of the Holy Grail. So like, even like if you're looking at like they had to have been into something.
Absolutely.
If you know what I'm saying, if other secret societies are even like
that's interesting,
acknowledging them,
Well, and so that like Knight Templar degree, it's in Freemasonry, it's in Illuminati, it's in like this French Illuminati and it's in all of them. So I'm sure, and we've talked about that, how the OTO is probably like an offshoot of Theosophy, which was it's just the same story over and over again. It's just to cast a wider net, I think. So So that's interesting that the OTO has a Knights Templar degree.
Yeah.
I know you talked about Kabbalah, the guy but real quick about that, because a lot of these groups, they pull their quote unquote wisdom from that. And so Kabbalah existed before the Jewish race existed. So that's like an important point that I bring out, because people, again, attribute this to one group. Sometimes this religion, this secret, has existed longer than the Abrahamic religions have existed. So it's not it's not one group that's a perpetrator. It goes all, you know what I mean? It goes universal. It's just a group of people that use this as to hide, or maybe they're the offspring, the bloodlines of the Nephilim or whatever, but it's existed for longer than any of those religions were around. I'm trying to think. I don't want to get you kicked off for another Kabbalah thing.
I think we'll be all right.
We'll get out of Kabbalah. Well, I think, and so you hear of like just a lot of these old books. There's like the Zephyr and the Zohar. They all, again, it's like you read it one way, they're reading in a different way, or you don't get the real one, you get this mistranslated one. But like,
I've seen people mind fuck the shit, and I'm sure there's good reasoning behind it too. But like, even in like, magic or like thelemic or ceremonial magic, like Facebook groups that I've been in, people will mind fuck exactly which version in this one you're supposed to have.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh yeah, so
yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, dude. Well, and like the Talmud, which again, it was revived. The supposedly 2nd century. It was supposed to be before. It was committed to the Talmud and the Kabbalah are linked. It's like the Kabbalah is in there, and supposedly, like I said, it started before the BC. There was in BC era, but in this, like the Talmud and stuff, there's the tough hitting questions. So, like for example, if you have a cow, how many white hairs can a cow have yet remain a red cow? Or if you have a house or a louse or a flea, which one can be killed on the Sabbath? And if you were wondering, a louse can be killed, but the second is a deadly sin. Do you slaughter an animal from its neck or its tail? Does a high priest put on his short or his pantyhose first? These are the questions and answers that you will find, among many other things. But I just found that some humor to go into a show. Yeah.
That's fucking.
Or the best, this is my favorite one. If a brother of a man who dies childless, so his brother died, who's married, dies childless, is he required to marry the widow? If he is, he can be relieved from obligation if he falls off a roof and lands on sticks. So, there you go. If your brother dies childless, fall off on a pile of sticks from a roof, you're done. You don't need to marry.
Unless you wanted to hit it, then I mean,
unless you did, then
you get to go.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I've got like so many of these that I just found fascinating. The Essenes. Have you ever heard of the Essenes?
Yes, that I have heard of, but don't know much about.
So I just heard them like you, and so I'm not, well, even though I'm wearing my shirt, Jesus, I don't know the Bible very well. But so people you'll see on the internet who usually aren't Christian, they'll try to discredit Jesus and things like that. They'll say, oh, he was a communist. Oh, he would want you to share everything. All of these things are because there's a group that existed again before Christianity called the Essenes, and it's right in the same area as Jesus's birth. They're in Palestine. And basically the Essenes, this is where you get that communistic aspect of all like Satanism and these secret societies, because the Essenes, they shared everything, wives included. Shocker, another group that likes to share their women. But this is why people will say Jesus was a socialist, because the Essenes were communists. Jesus was not an Essene. The Essenes, they did not go to temple. Obviously Christ does. They disapproved of marriage and wine. Obviously Jesus turns water into wine. He's a big fan of marriage. But they were this group. That's where that comes from. So they their belief of the communism, and that's why it's so linked. We see like Satanism and communism is because of the Essenes. That was their and again, these groups just bleed together. They just pick up what they like or leave what they don't like, but the general message stays the same. So it's just crazy because you hear all these groups and you hear Illuminati and Freemasonry and you think, oh, and there's going to be rivalries. Like that's absolutely happens. Like Adam Weishaupt hated the Freemasons. He thought they were idiots. He infiltrated it with his guys. That's what some people say when Freemasonry took this turn was because Weishaupt infiltrated Freemasonry. He put people at the top who were then pulling people for his Illuminati. But at the base level, they're all into this, trying to find like magic, essentially, trying to, become a Dumbledore, if you will. Dumbledore. Which is, again, I'm sure did you ever do a Harry Potter overview or like No,
I never watched much of Harry Potter actually.
Really? Oh
I saw the first one and then the fucking last one.
Dude, come on, you gotta go watch those. You gotta do one because they're like the Philosopher's Stone, the first one. That's obviously every secret society was doing alchemy, trying to find the Philosopher's Stone.
I'm sure if I watch them, I'll probably see tons of
you
shit
would find
in them.
So much stuff too that, yeah. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm just listing shit. Is that so?
No, that's all right. I was gonna ask you about those that group that Jonah mentioned, the Ismailis or whatever it was.
Oh
again.
yeah.
Was there anything else about that? Because you said that they were assassins, tied to assassins.
So again, it's just like this breakup. So their lead guy, Abdullah Ibn Minam, one of his top dogs, they had a falling out. So he creates another group. Then from that group, you have another group and the assassins. So he was just saying like they're like the top first secret society of Islam, and they just break into all these different groups. Just like, again, like the Templars, Freemasonry, it's just like I'm saying, they're the same beliefs, but just cast a wider net. Or maybe you have a really influential cult leader who doesn't want to share with another cult leader. He wants his own wives of husbands. They just start their own group. So there's like nothing, they're all, again, they're just like carbon copies of each other.
Yeah.
And then we did the Assassins, the Templars. I have another good one here. Gosh, I'm sorry. I'm going through we went through my, okay, so Satanism, that started, the first time people started using Satanism was like the beginning of the 14th century. They were dualists, and this dualism is huge, right? Because dualism, for anyone who doesn't know, is that there is no good and evil. It's all in the same spectrum. So you can do lots of evil because it's not really evil. And the dualism is very important, because it's in all of these secret societies today. That's why the Sabbatean Frankists, they encourage you to have incest and to sacrifice little ones and things like that, because again, there is no evil in their world. And that's probably why a lot of our world today, because of these secret societies' propaganda, is questioning morality. Like, oh, is it really wrong if I'm married to someone and have sex with other women, if we both want it? Is it really wrong for this? Because this is that slow, this has been a slow or a long game by these groups to slowly remove morality, just like they did in their own secret societies, but just universal. And you can see they're obviously being successful.
Yeah.
But yeah. But the Satanism, it started in Germany, it spreads in Italy and France. Again, they believed that Satan as the prince of this world, and they started loving evil for the sake of evil. In Italy, it became known as that old religion. They had sorcerers, they had, everything like Harry Potter, really. But, it's just, so again, it's amazing that orgies, debaucheries, perverted vices, Holocaust of little boys and girls. Jeez. All these things are done. This is done by a guy, Giles de Reyes, and he was hung and burned in 1440. But all these people, it's just fascinating to me that how it spreads, how it's it's so easy to get people. Maybe you're a little sad, or maybe you're whatever, you're unhappy. You have someone who comes to you that seems very pious, very holy, very powerful, has all these followers, and he tells you, listen, you're everything you've been told is a lie. You deserve to do what feels good. There is no right or wrong. Now you can see how it grows, because that, again, we see that's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear do the hard thing. They don't want to hear you need to be patient and stick to your values. That's hard.
Yeah. It's a really easy way out. Yeah.
Just bang, do drugs, steal, rape, pillage. It's a lot easier life to live. You see that?
I
today,
feel like
too.
the OTO, in a sense, at least where the lodge that I was at, was very much into, like, not like, rape and pillage and shit like that, but very much like, like very like, oh, just go with it. Just, just it's basically like just give in to all your desires, but like not realizing that, like, then they start to control you because you give up to them. Like, it's hard to explain, but I feel like they kind of fed that stuff too.
I'm sure. Yeah, I would be. I bet you could, if you look back now, and like went over your. I'm sure there is some of that. Maybe not at the level you were or whatever, but I'm sure at the end, because that's what they want. If you stand for nothing, NY, you will fall for anything.
Yeah,
that is one of my favorite quotes in the world, and that's what where they want people, and where they've gotten the populace is they don't know. I don't know what I believe. I'm spiritual or whatever. Well, you're a lot easier to manipulate and to be told this is the truth when you don't have a set of beliefs, because you're open-minded. Well, they love open-minded people, because that's how they grew their secret societies then, and that's how they've continued to grow them now, even when they're not really secret society members. They're just the useful idiots that are bringing the world they want to see.
Yeah.
I have some Rose. Have you ever done any? The Rosicrucians have always been very confusing to me. Have you ever looked into the Rosicrucians?
Not that much, no.
Okay. Again, it's just they started in 1509. They were big into nature magic. So they had 8 classified magic in 3 categories. Maybe you had some of this in the OTO: natural magic, mathematical magic, benefic magic, which is potions and poisons, necromantic magic, that's commerce with unclean spirits, talking to the dead, theurgic magic, thaumaturgic magic, and celestial magic. But I mean, that sounds exactly like a Harry Potter class, but that's the Rosicrucians. So did you have any of that kind of stuff in OTO, like actual magic, or no?
I mean, maybe there was like classes that might have touched on some of that stuff, but like no, you weren't, like, the grades, in my opinion, didn't go along with that. But like, I mean, there's elemental magic, then there's planetary magic, there's other forms of magic that I could see fitting into those things. But I
was just wondering. And so the guy that started, who got this huge, that's like another, there's all these theories who did it, but it was this, he was a rabbi, a Kabbalist, and he possessed the secret. And so supposedly he had lamps that burn forever. And this was claimed by the Rosicrucians. That's the magic they had. And this was in the 16th century, so the 1500s. So that was huge, that you had a lamp that stayed lit by magic. That's how he grew this group. And so I thought that was interesting, because I'm not like a Tartaria guy. I do think there's many questions that cannot be answered, but do I think a global civilization? No. I mean, if you were that powerful, how'd you lose? But anyway, so that's why I think some parts of that theory are correct, and that what if these Kabbalists, this secret group, possessed electricity before it was officially discovered, and that's how he lit his lamp. That's what I thought was a possibility, or interesting, because I saw
magic. I saw a fucking Instagram post today saying some shit showing how that they believe that they were showing how, like, what carvings look like when you're doing it yourself by hand on stone, and then what it would look like if it was being done by, like, some sort of equipment. And they were saying that they think old architecture believe it or not, was actually being done with electronic tools before we were told there was electricity.
Dude, I wouldn't doubt it at all. You know, there's see the thing, and I don't know how do you have we talked about Tartaria?
No, not really. I've had people on cover it, I think, twice. I really don't know what to think about it, so I get like leery about covering it. It's interesting to me. It's very interesting to me.
Right. And like I said, I agree with the fact, like, are that architecture something we're missing a huge piece?
Fuck yeah. Huge. I think there's hundreds of years somewhere or made up something.
Yeah, there's something gone, because there's no way that this could be done by just like, you know, a hammer and a donkey.
Well, even what you covered with the whole World's Fair.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
You know, like they couldn't have done that in that amount of time. You said it was a swampland, wasn't it?
You're right. Yeah. In Chicago, it was like 700 acres of swamp that they cleared in 2 years and built these magnificent things. But the reason why I say this about Tartaria is because, again, all these secret societies, their goal, their belief is they all have a story about Hiram Abiff, who creates Solomon's Temple. That's a story in Freemasonry. They all have that, a master builder. The Templars had it. All of them had it. And they had a master builder that built this temple, that it was the golden age, that there were secrets that did it, and we got to get back to it. Well, what's Tartaria? It's the same exact story. There's a secret type of building or builder or technology. It was this golden age of growth and love and happiness and you know, hippy dippy stuff. This is the Atlantis story of Freemasonry. This is the exact what they say. They say they want to go back to the golden age where we were all androgynous and living life, and we were like one of the gods. And that's like what Tartaria is. So I think that there's like, and it blew up like 2 years ago. So again, when something's everywhere, you know, it's odd. It makes me question it.
No, I know what you're saying. It's definitely something that's gotten real popular recently.
Oh, it's huge, dude. Yeah. And like I said, I do agree there's something not right, but a global civilization, I just find that very, even if this mud flood wiped everyone out, like that no one survived, not a single person survived this, like, you know, but anyway, I don't want to get into, I know some people, that's like a flat earth topic. People get very sensitive to certain topics. Flat earth and Tartaria.
Yeah. That's why I don't even. That's why I won't even really get into that. I mean, believe it or not, I mean, I do subscribe to that being a possibility in a dome, but I don't even expect people. Yeah. I don't expect people to believe that, and people can get so crazy about it. I just fuck it. I don't even.
Yeah, dude, it's a scary.
I'll be watching people argue in the comments or some shit. So.
Hey, dude, I think like the only like bad comments I've ever gotten have been like, and I would have said like, I don't know where I feel about flat Earth, and it'll be like, flat Earth is real, you idiot, and it's like, whoa, dude, maybe, bro, I'm not trying to fight you over this, I don't know, but it gets heated.
I'd rather someone just be like, you know what, I'll question what I see out there, you know, that's it. I'd be happy with that if someone just questioned what they're really looking at out there. That's good enough. Because you know what? If I decide that the world's flat, unfortunately, I still got to pay my taxes, don't I? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? It's just, you know, just one more lie that I'm admitting that I might have believed. That's all. I mean, you know what I'm getting at? Like, I don't know.
Oh, dude, that's funny. That is funny. It's true. That's true. I saw somebody say in the chat about how black magic, like 17th, 18th century, had a lot of occult wisdom, and he's at Eric again, and that's exactly what the Templar, the Rosicrucians, they were huge in the 17th century in France, and they were doing all this magic, and for about 20 years there was a slew, and since in 1666 it started, which same year the Sabbatean Frankists start, so I'm sure totally not a coincidence, I'm sure that, or totally was totally coincidental. But in 1666, the Rosicrucians start doing all these weird cult poisonings in France. And for 20 years, people were terrified, like elites and nobles, that they were going to be poisoned by one way or another because all their friends were dying from these magicians and alchemists poisoning them.
Holy shit! Yeah, they're using probably like there's a couple of herbs that you could use that would fucking definitely kill people.
Yeah, dude. But
interesting.
And again, so this, and then we can just you can talk or we can go with. So also what these groups did, especially Adam Weishaupt and the Illuminati, which eventually gets pulled into Freemasonry, is they hated the monarchies, right? They did not want the monarchies. They did not want a church, as we talked about, that all these groups hated church. They said it was fake. So Weishaupt's goal was to remove the monarchies and to destroy religion. Well, he was pretty successful. Europe after, that was 1760, I think it was the same year as the Constitution, 1774 or whatever. My God, that's when they signed the Declaration of Independence, right? 1776. Holy shit, that's embarrassing. But yeah, so that was their goal, was to get rid of these monarchies. And so that's why I do consider the idea that maybe that's because the monarchies were the strongest bulwark against these secret societies, because you have to be born into the royal bloodline to have power. But that was their goal, and they did it. And what do we champion all the time? We hear, we have democracy. They're trying to ruin democracy. Democracy was a lie from the start. You got tricked by these powerful secret societies, because any rational person, the way a democracy grows is you get more people to vote. Well, how do you let more people vote? And when you have everyone voting, you're sure that your country is going to be screwed up the butt, because people are stupid.
Yeah.
People are stupid. So I just found that interesting. That was Weishaupt's goal, was to remove the monarchies and institute these constitutional republics. And slowly but surely, French Revolution, Bolshevik Revolution, all funded by Wall Street and bankers. They're why are they doing that? Do they want everyone to be free out of the tyrant of a monarchy? So they allow millions of gruesome, disgusting violence. They fund that to help people? No, it's because they knew that their goal was, again, to remove the monarchies, so have these revolutions. And that's why you see people like Thomas Paine, or one of our founding fathers. He was, I guess, not flown. He was shipped over to France to help write propaganda for the revolution. All these guys that we think are our founding fathers and stuff, they all have these ties into these same secret societies with the same goals. So that's why I question, is the constitutional republic actually, we say it's the best country in the world. Is it? I don't know. I don't know if it is, because it's the way it's not looking like the best country in the world. But
yeah, what is it designed to end up like that?
Exactly, dude. And so that's why I'm doing a debate tomorrow on my show with John, Kyle, and this other guy. They're anti-monarchy. I am pro-monarchy. I think that is that's why these secret societies wanted to remove it, was because it's not, no system is perfect, but it's the best protection against these insidious central banking parasites, But
very well said.
So, again, if you guys want to check it, it's called Secret Societies and Subversive Movements. It's you can find a free PDF and read that. She has another book on the French Revolution, which I love, but she actually changes her views. She says the French Revolution was done by the Freemasons. She ends up changing that and saying it was the Illuminati or something. But it was, it's just the whole point of all these groups is their beliefs that were from thousands of years ago, these carnal desires, these orgies, these bloodletting things, and massive degeneracy, essentially. That was what they were doing in these secret groups, like the Canaanites. I think I was on your show for the Canaanites, same stuff. And then what do we see today? Well, we see it, this open, degenerate society. Sex is everywhere, drugs, orgies. And so their goals, it's I would struggle if someone said that's just a coincidence, that these secret societies did all these things and now we're doing them now. That's just being progressive. And that's also what the secret societies would say, is that this is old fashioned. Let's be progressive. So
Well, I'd
it's
say,
just-
well, between that and like we've even mentioned before, the Sabatine Frankists, and I think like there's even something me and Lux may have covered that there was another group that had some sort of like list, kind of like all like that. It's like it's quite obvious that there is a bunch of individuals that are invested in kind of the same goal, and it's what we are seeing right now.
yeah.
It can't be a coincidence. I'm sorry, you know.
No, I don't think it is. Dude.
Yeah.
It's just going to continue to, like I said, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And we can see where this path is going. It's going to lead us to this Canaanite secret society world where, I mean, dude, if you even like 8 years ago, if you look at what's deemed acceptable today, you would think you are in you're in crazy world. You know, things that we see on TV, what kids see, the TikToks with just like pornography essentially for young children. Like it's everywhere, dude. And you can't tell me this is just for profit because it's not. It's so beyond profit. It's trying to change like the soul of humans or something. I don't know, of the population.
No, I know what you're getting at. It's definitely for influence. You know, a lot of it is, and this is what I think a lot of it comes down to, and it all really is, I think, a form of magic. A lot of times, you know, these things, even if the people aren't even being honest, they could be fake. It could just be them acting out. But as long as they create something and put it out and you see it, you now know it exists. Like these weird sexual ideas. You know, there could be some fucking CIA agent dressed up in some fucking silly outfit, making it some fucking weird sexual name claim that it came up with, and explaining how it makes sense. You put it out there, and you're gonna have mentally ill people grasping onto it. But like they never would have unless they saw that. And now it's like you opened up this filing cabinet in their head. You took this folder of a new idea, you threw it in the filing cabinet, and closed it. You created something new that they never thought about, and it's in their brain now.
Oh, I like that.
That's like fucking magic in enough in itself. You know that is a possibility for your free will to choose now, when you didn't know it was before.
I like that, dude. Yeah.
That's all I think sometimes it is. You just have to know it exists. And you have the choice to choose.
I like that, dude. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, sometimes that's why I think just a lot of that, and that's how we've gotten this fucked up. It's because people are just willing to put fucked up shit out there for people to imitate.
It's dude. And Weishaupt's goal also was, he wanted no leaders. A lot of these secret societies wanted that as well. Like they said, they wanted no structure. Some of them wanted like the ones that they could control the structure. But I found that interesting because like anarchy is like a growing movement. A lot of people are anarchists. And I just found it interesting that Adam Weishaupt also wanted anarchy. And I don't know if it's the same. He's using the same as the modern definition, or which definition he's using. Did it mean chaos? But he was very explicit that he did not. Oh, there's two things. He was explicit, no leaders, and also we all know him. He's the creator of the Illuminati. In his letters that were found because one of their guys got struck by lightning, which is an odd story in itself. But in the letters, he writes in codes. They all have code names. And Adam and the other powerful people of different groups, they talk about their leader that they won't mention by name. And so like Adam talks about like, oh, I will talk to him and see if he can give me wisdom and guidance or on what to do. And so I found, and then there was like a quote, like you'll never see the real name of these. And I found that like mind blowing as well, that these secret societies, their leaders, you don't even know. If we know their name, they're not the leader. Like Adam Weishaupt wasn't the leader of the Illuminati. He was the front man because there was someone else above him, even more powerful.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard that even like the Astrum Argentum was like, you know, before Crowley, and there's people who are, you know, running that you'll never know the names of. So, yeah. But yeah, me and Lux have always said, I mean, like if you know the person's name, they're not the top person. You know what I'm saying? The people who are really doing shit, you're never gonna know their name.
Right. They're not gonna. They don't need the. They know. Like, what are they? Why are they gonna put their name on a billboard? No.
No, exactly. They're like, oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah. And if God forbid it fall, especially back then, there was actual chances of the people coming at you.
Yeah.
You don't want your name on the list, you know? That's
true. Back then, motherfuckers would have strung you up in the fucking town, in the middle of the town.
And that also, like all of those witch trials that people will mock, I think that they were actually, some of them, I am sure there's always exceptions to the rule. I'm sure there was innocence, but they were absolutely, even the Salem witch trials, like Tabitha or whatever, the one slave woman, she was using chicken blood in the backyard doing spells with the kids. So they, people like women today, like, we're the witches you didn't burn. One, that's so cringe and stupid. Two, they were actually witches. So if they were you, your bloodline probably didn't continue. But
yo, that fucking meme, I've seen that meme.
I hate that.
Even when I was like practicing, I even was like, come on, that's just fucking cheesy.
So
like you're just trying to be fucking, you're like trying to gangster yourself up.
Come on. Stop it. Unless you're using chicken blood in the backyard, doing something weird. Stop calling it. If you have a crystal, you're not a witch, okay? You're just like you do what everybody else does in your little group. Stop it.
Yeah. You hold the crystal, you throw some lavender over your shoulder, you're good to go.
Now you're a witch. Okay. Well, you can call yourself whatever you want, but you're not. So, and that's good, but still.
Oh, that was good, Jack. Thanks for the laugh. So is that about it?
Yeah, I think that's probably about it. I didn't finish my notes, so otherwise I could do more the Illuminati
that's
one,
fine.
but so I'm sorry I don't have those notes yet. My dog is taking up too much. Can't be left alone, dude. I don't know if you ever had a dog, but he's bad, dude. You gotta watch him. He's like a baby or something.
No, I have a cat.
Yeah, I stick with the cats, dude.
Yeah.
They're my buddies still. No worry.
All right, so Jack, just in case the people that are listening have never heard you before, which I find hard to believe, would you like to let them know where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, so I'm at Kojak Podcast, COJAC, on all the socials. And tomorrow, like I alluded to earlier, I have a debate, a light debate with John from We've Read and Conspiracy Kyle, 8:30 on my YouTube channel. So if you're
and Conspiracy Kyle?
Yeah, because he's good biblically. I don't know if you knew that he knows the Bible well. So him and John are going to argue from a monarchical biblical standpoint, and I'm going to.
Are you going to be doing this live?
Yeah.
What time around?
8:30. Yeah, 8:30 Eastern.
Awesome, man. I'll have to try to tune in for that.
Yeah, dude.
That's interesting. I'd like to see all three of you together. That's interesting.
Oh, good.
Yeah, all great guys too. I really like Kyle and John a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's a good crew right there.
So we won't be fighting too much.
You got to get is he gonna? You got to get him to play the drums too.
Kyle?
Yeah, he could do a Phil Collins beat in the background for you.
Oh, it's funny, dude.
Have you seen his music stuff?
Yeah, I see his clips.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's impressive to me.
Yeah,
nice. So hopefully that show will be a good one tomorrow. It sounds like it. I'm definitely gonna check that out.
Yes.
And you're in all your podcasts and stuff. All your links I do have also already in the bottom. So
nice.
People want to check out his stuff. Definitely check it out. Also suggest to go back and check out all the shows he's been on online. So all bangers. Thank you very much, man, for coming on. It was a pleasure. And I'll probably be asking you again in about another 4 to 6 weeks.
Anytime, dude. I love you anytime you want, NY.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for jumping in on the chat. I know this wasn't my YouTube, but thank you, Teresa, for letting me stream to yours. Thanks for the people who still jumped in and said what's up. Asha, Arnold, Eric, Jonah, all of yous. Thank you again. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.